G'day, guys. Welcome back to another week of this fucking book. And welcome also to Eel Reerg. How's it going, buddy?
It's going good. I peed once before you called me, and again during that opening song, so I think I should be good for this whole chapter. I won't have to go pee at any point.
Fantastic. That's great news. But make sure if you do that you leave your mic unmuted so that we can we can hear it and then draw conclusions about the size of your junk, because that is the July way.
Right. Absolutely.
So this chapter, man, I fucking hate this chapter. This is the worst chapter of anything that's ever written, and it makes he should have got more jail time for this. Like, if they read this, they shouldn't have let him out. Like, this fucking anyway. We'll get to it, but I hate it. And this is essentially very quick recap. Basically, nothing's fucking happened in this book except for going to war and then just eating food, having the longest date ever, expelling dampness, and finally, last chapter, we got a little bit of something that is, what this book is actually meant to be about, in terms of he's having the nightmares again, he's, getting a bit of bloodlust happening. We're in chapter 10 of a 12-chapter book, and that's the first time that's happened there, and now we have, we have a chapter of killing, which is why we opened up with that. Well, I mean, that and the fact that's a fucking banger of a song, but that is a very appropriate song for this chapter. So, how you been since last week, mate?
I've not that great. I had some car problems, but other than physically, I'm doing fine. How have you been since last week?
Mate, I've been good. My car's been running well. I do have to wonder though, did you buy another identical car and take the transmission out of that one and put it into the other one? Because that's probably your issue.
Oh, totally should have done that. Oh my God, I gotta talk to my mechanic about that. See what he has to say. I'm sure he'll think that's a genius idea.
Yeah, you really do. Get it onto that. And look, I'd consider going elsewhere if that wasn't the first thing he did. I don't know how much you can trust that mechanic.
Jeez.
It's none of my business, but...
so right.
All right, so look, let's crack into this, because this is another super long chapter. But I do want to say hello to everyone first. So, g'day to Spencer Silvera and one of those weirdos, and Tranquillo and Slash and Mandy S and Cyrano, who's just drinking. Well, enjoy that, mate. And the Duchess of Cornwall, who is saying that her and her dude of 10 years finally got hitched on Sunday. So congratulations, the Duchess.
Wow. Congrats.
I'm really pleased to hear that. And I do, in fact, bless the marriage, as you ask later. So that is great. But the only downside there is that he didn't present her with a silver dinner ring. So, look, it's off to a rocky start. But, I hope you guys can work through that little hiccup. I'm sure it's just one hiccup in what will be a long and happy life together. Zachary Slut Stanford, welcome to you. Always great to see you. Asbury Brad, hello. And Eel Reerg and Evil Living
Oh,
Nuggets,
that guy.
hi. Yeah, fuck that guy, man. I thought I was pretty sure that I blocked you. I don't know how you keep getting in here.
I'm with the FBI, so
Well, that's true. You have your ways. You know, probably that FBI agent that Kennedy talks to all the time.
Ooh, yeah.
G'day. I'll watch what I say then, because you guys are close. G'day, Tracy
Better.
Camel and Cyber Squeak and Evil Little Big Nuggets. I've got a bit of side eye on you, Evil Little Big Nuggets. It's been some weird things coming out lately, so I'm going to keep my eye on you. Alison Marie Armstrong, hello. Robert Osland and Some Jealous Basement Dweller, one of the most appropriate names for this month. Smokey the Cat, I am watching out for Ruse. And look, there's been a lot less around, so I'm assuming that your work is paying off, so thank you for that. And Duchess, hello. And Vexy, how's it going? And Anne O'Rourke. And Nicholas Holt, hey. Disney Girl 13, I haven't seen you around for a little while, Disney Girl, so good to see you, hope you're well. Ung Ramen, maybe I will one day get that name right. And Popeye the Trailer Man. He's Popeye the Trailer Man. Who else we got? We got Turtlehead 2. And Pee Wee the Great. And Cornville Counsellor. And Anthony R. And Omega Heber. I'm still his favourite Kiwi, which is good. If I've got to be a Kiwi, I better be your favourite. Rick Borum, hello to you. Cat G!
Is it a Kiwi? Is it a Kiwi specifically a New Zealander?
It is, yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So they're wrong. Got it.
So a Kiwi is what, we call New Zealanders, and it's also a small bird that is native to New Zealand. So, yeah. They're pretty cute, though, I must say. Welcome to Tracy after she got stood up by Colin Ray. Colin Ray! Lorne's Wet Salad. How are you? Cat G, great to see you as always. It jumped all around the place, so I lost my place, so I might be saying hello to people twice. Apologies if I do. Rick Borum, Cornville Counsellor, Pee Wee the Great. I am the Senate. Hello. Trooper Grandson, Chatchabay Billy, hello to you. Does Australia go by kangaroo power instead of horsepower? Absolutely. I'm surprised you even had to ask. Pussy Destroyer, how are you? And Bunny, hello, Bunny. And Jiroshima. And I think that is everyone. Oh, Gorilla Spawn, hello, Gorilla Spawn. Cool, guys. Sorry if I missed you. YouTube was particularly jumpy for me there. But, yell at me if I did. And Eileen Clayman, hello. Let's jump into it. So, anything you want to say before we start, mate?
This is a shit chapter. Let's get into it.
Perfect. Yeah, that is the way to hype people up for the chapter, I must say. G'day, the legendary owl. Chapter 10. He began walking in the woods toward the area where he had killed the deer. His headache began to fade as he continued to walk. The forest was quiet, peaceful, but for some reason it felt loud to Lorne. Like all he could feel surrounding him was death. And you know what I find funny there, the way he's written that? So he's written, the forest was quiet, full stop, peaceful, full stop. It's like, and that's really the cadence that Chris Hansen uses, right? So,
Yeah.
the forest was quiet. Peaceful.
First was quiet, peaceful.
You're
the good guy, the protector.
He was a prolific chatter. But it felt loud to Lorne, like all he could feel surrounding him was death. Why am I feeling like this? What is happening to me? Why can't I get rid of all this noise? Maybe I should go back and see my fucking psychiatrist. He asked himself aloud.
No.
Sorry, I put that one in. And g'day, Vast Ravioli. Good to see you. The question seemed incredible and made him grow angry. Okay. He began to run to get away from the noise, but it only got louder. Lorne threw himself behind a fir tree when he caught something moving from the corner of his eye. And now, We don't have fir trees here, at least not that I know of. But correct me if I'm wrong. They are spelt FIR, right? Not fur, as in a tree made up of animal fur, right?
I think so. I'm not a tree expert, so I don't know. I don't even know what
Well,
fir trees
you
are. I've
told
never
me
heard of that.
you
It might
told me you
be.
were. That's the whole reason I did this book
Well,
with you, because you said you were a tree
I
expert, and that
also told you I was a noted liar. So which one did you want to
you
believe, Cornville?
you
I think you're just picking your spots here. Okay.
I am, yeah. No, that is true. I'm picking what to believe there. So fair point. I'll go back in my corner. He peeked slowly around the tree. He saw them behind the bushes, ducking down so that Lorne couldn't see them. The enemy was there. Lorne had no choice. It was either stay and fight or die. He loaded his rifle and took aim toward the bushes. The first shot he saw one head fall. The second shot he saw a second head fall. The third shot missed and the enemy ran. Lorne quietly and quickly snuck up close to the two that he shot to see if they were dead.
Forgive me if I'm wrong.
Hmm.
I'm gonna, but in here, forgive me if I'm wrong. But this is the first time in the story that he's had like visions of enemies, correct?
Absolutely. Yep,
Oh, great.
absolutely. So, you know, something that's been happening so gradually and went away for a while, all of a sudden he has seen the enemy. No kind of walking around the shops and getting flashbacks about, the war, maybe hearing a helicopter and diving to the ground. No, nothing like that. Nothing like
No.
the stereo. I mean, like, because that's the thing. Like, I'm not expecting Lorne to have gone and studied psychology or anything to understand this, but the really stereotypical things, the pop culture things, especially, he could have just drawn on that kind of pop culture thing around people getting flashbacks of Vietnam and that kind of thing. But none of that. All of a sudden, for the very first time, he has seen the enemy, and that hasn't shocked him to the point where he's like, "Whoa, why am I seeing Iraqi soldiers over here? Better just shoot. Better shoot." You know, that's what we're dealing with. Lorne quietly and quickly snuck up close to the two that he shot to see if they were dead. He couldn't see well through the bushes. He counted to three and jumped over the bushes with his buck knife gripped tightly in his hand. He grabbed the enemy's heads and sliced their necks. Okay. G'day, Leon Kennedy.
Both at
Two
the
of
same time, or
it's just like
what?
he has grabbed both heads, held them up, and just like one clean strike, slashed both of their necks. He is incredible.
Good.
Um, Slice their necks. Two of the enemies were now dead. Lorne became upset with himself because he let the third one get away. For a few minutes, he just stood there staring at the dead bodies on the ground until his headache came back. His eyes grew watery and he wiped. Wiped. Back of what? His eyes grew watery and he wiped. It must be meant to be the back of his hand against them to clear them. He squinted hard and then returned his eyes to the two dead bodies on the ground. Two deer lay there lifeless. What just happened? Lorne asked himself. How did I get here? He wondered as he looked at his surroundings. Looking down at his hands, he saw they were soaked in blood. All of a sudden, he felt a certain pleasure grow inside him. He didn't know what was happening right now to him, but he liked it. He wanted more of it. Lorne ducked down and looked
I
around. Yep. Sorry, do you say something?
just why?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
why does he all of a sudden he's like, yeah, I like to kill people. Like, where did that come from?
Well, that's right. And like, isn't usually like in these kind of things like, he's trying to do the whole kind of, I guess, blacked out. Like, he's gone and done these horrendous things. While he was blacked out, he comes to, he can't remember what happened. But usually, what follow that is not kind of happiness, is shock. And like, I mean, what am I?
Well,
What am I going to do now? Why has this happened? But he's just like, sweet, I've killed a couple of deer. Like, fuck yeah, I thought they were people.
well, you can do it. You can do it one of two ways. Like he slowly falls down this rabbit hole of like doing progressively worse things, and then he gets to a point where he's just like completely he doesn't feel anything when he kills people. Or you can have it be he blacks out and murders people and then feels guilty. You can do, but he hasn't done either.
Well,
It
no,
built
that's
up.
true. And as
I,
and g'day to Sean McClure and whoever else. Oh, James Dean and Logan W. And as who pointed out in the chat? Someone pointed out in the chat. Yeah, Anna Rourke says in the chat, Aaron didn't even shoot anyone in Iraq. Like all
yeah.
his trauma.
Well, we don't know that. A lot of information is left out. So he probably shot the most out of anyone who's ever shot anything ever.
Yeah,
To,
there was a lot of
to
time
just keep
skipping,
their
I
quality.
guess. Every time a clock was
Yeah.
involved, we would jump forward a few months. Uh,
Right.
cool. So okay, cool. He's all happy with that. Lorne ducked down and looked around for his next victim. There it was, standing 50 feet away. Lorne lifted his rifle to his shoulder, aimed, and fired. His victim went to the ground quickly with a gut-wrenching scream. Lorne ran up and stood over his victim. It was a man. I heard shots, he sputtered. Help me, please, he said as he reached his weak, shaking arm up toward Lorne and held the other one on his chest where the bullet had entered. Lorne's eyes grew wide with evil as he slowly unbuckled the leather strap on his scabbard and pulled out his buck knife. You've killed enough troops. Now it's your turn to die, Lorne muttered as he grabbed the man's shirt and watched the fear of death grow in the man's eyes. This made Lorne's heart rate pick up and his anxiety grow strong. I'm anxious, precious. He placed the knife up to the man's jugular. No! The man, there's only two O's, so I'm assuming it's a short no. No!
Oh,
The man screamed as Lorne
he
pressed
cut his
down.
jugular. That's what
Yeah,
happened.
that's right. He's just no. No, the man screamed as Lorne pressed down the blade and slid it across the man's throat. Straight across his throat. He stood up and looked into the man's dying eyes and watched him gurgle and drown in his own blood. Lorne picked the man up and hid him in a place where he couldn't be found and covered him with brush and leaves until he could return. He made his way back home at around 3 p.m. and to his relief found that Kayla was not home. He raced inside and removed his blood-stained clothes at the entrance, then made his way to the shower. He washed all the blood away, then got dressed in some sweatpants and t-shirt. Grabbing a large plastic trash bag, he raced to the door, threw his clothes inside the bag, and brought them out to the barrel that he used to burn trash in.
Oh,
Mm.
at this point, does he know, like, he's at his house, so he knows he's back home. Does he know that the person isn't the enemy, or like, I don't understand what's happening.
No. No, well, that's right. So he's basically killed him, said you've killed your last, innocent person or whatever. But we don't know
Right.
if after that he's kind of come to the realization that that was just some random dude that he's killed. We
Wait.
don't know anything. And
And there were
g'day.
like two other people he killed. Is he preparing? Is he like gonna go bury them, or does he know
No,
that they
no,
weren't real at this point?
they were deer. So the first two people he killed, like the first, see, this is the fucking thing.
Wait a minute.
Mm,
He snuck up on deer and cut their jugular? They were actually real deer, like animal deer? I thought they were just imaginary.
oh, no, hang on. Let's go back. See, my understanding of it was
God.
he heard rustling, which he assumed was the enemy. He shot that enemy and then snuck up on them and slit their throat, and then came to and realized
Okay.
they were deer. But let's just check that because this does have a habit of really killing your brain. So snuck up close to the two that he shot to check that they were dead. Fucking rah 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 rah. A few minutes have stood there, dead bodies, grow watery. The two deer lay there lifelessly. What just happened? Yeah. So he killed deer, but he
Okay. All
thought
right.
they were people. Then he killed a person, and there's been no kind of change in, like, he had the same reaction to killing what he thought was people, then realizing they were deer, that he did to killing what he thought was a person, realizing it was a person. No difference in that. No, oh well, this is a man I've just
He,
killed. And
yeah, he hasn't
because
even realized they were. I mean, he realized they were deer, but now he's back in the delusion, so shouldn't he think that they were people too?
Well, yeah,
I'm so confused about his state of mind.
well, yeah, that's right. And look, the other, like the other thing is too, like he, I can't really even figure out what I'm trying to say here, but there's no, like he's gone and hidden this person because obviously he's going to go back and bury him. Well, if he is still thinking this was the enemy, why is he burying him? Why is he not going to the police, going to the FBI or whatever and look, I found an Iraqi soldier here. Luckily I've killed him before he's gone and killed people. Like, why are you hiding him like that? Can
It's
you
like
take...
a Red Dawn situation.
I've just got to grab the door. Can you take over reading for a bit, mate?
Sure. I think we're right here. Threw his clothes inside the bag and brought them out to the barrel that he used to burn trash in. Lit the blood-stained clothes on fire, then returned to the house to wash the blood from his knife, rifle, and combat boots before Kayla returned home. Okay, so he knows. I think he knows that he murdered a guy, and it's not an Iraqi soldier. When he was satisfied with the cleanliness of the items, he returned back outside to the barrel to see if the clothes were now completely ashes. He pulled out the garden hose and doused the hot coals and ashes with water to hide any trace of smoke or a recent fire in the barrel. When Kayla returned home, Lorne was sitting in the easy chair in the living room, eating chips and drinking a can of Sprite. Hi, honey. Okay, so he knows enough to hide it from his wife. So I think this guy just likes killing. I don't think this isn't a I never meant to do it situation. This is a I like to do it and I don't like to get caught situation.
Mm.
Sound like anyone you know?
Kayla
Kayla said as she carried.
Yeah,
Right.
like that's exactly right. And once again, we haven't found out, is he out of this delusion now? Like if we're just following the storyline, we have to assume that he still thinks that was an Iraqi soldier who was about to kill him that he killed. So why is he hiding this from his wife? Why is he not like, there's an Iraqi soldier here. They followed me back over because I was such a fucking
Right.
I was fucking ram over there. So they've come to avenge, the thousands of people I killed. We need to get out of here, honey. Get Brad. We've got to go. There's gonna be more. Like what? Why? So then we just have to assume that no, you killed an innocent dude just there, but you chill as fuck about it. Like
What if it was just like a random Middle Eastern person who happened to live in Indiana? And Lorne was like, oh shit, they followed me over here. That would make, you know what? That would actually make some sense. Like, that's what triggers him. He sees somebody who, is stereotypically Middle Eastern, just out hunting. They're just, going about their day.
Mm.
But instead, it's just nothing.
Nah, and then Shins Koala says, and g'day Shins, by the way, great to see you. He goes from helpless mama's boy, nitwit, to knife-licking serial killer before our very eyes, with no real graduation there. It's just boom, shit's real.
This is the part of the movie where he kills people. Or the part of the book where he kills
Exactly.
people.
Scene 3, killing people. And g'day to Kelp Pill and also to the ghost of Tony Farmer.
Hi, honey, Kayla said as she carried the baby to Lorne and gave him a small kiss on the lips. Hi, Lorne said as he returned the kiss. Take the baby for me so I can get the bag of groceries from the car, okay? Kayla asked Lorne as she bent over to hand the baby to Lorne. I'd also like to point out, if I recall correctly, at the end of the last chapter, he just wrote her a note and was like, I'm leaving for the day. Don't ask questions. Bye. And so she's had to go grocery shopping with the baby because this asshole was just out with no explanation.
Yeah.
So, shitty father.
Yeah, exactly. And g'day, Camp Bogle.
Lord reached his arms out for his son, set him on his lap, and fed him a chip as he... and fed him a chip as he began watching TV with his son. He's not a dog. You don't have to feed him a chip. That's so weird phrasing. After his show was over and they had eaten supper, Lorne put the baby in the crib and retreated to bed himself with Kayla following behind him. It didn't take long for Lorne to fall asleep and begin dreaming. Kayla fell asleep in Lorne's arms, but woke up once she felt her body tighten up and become intense with twitching. Okay. I think her creamy center is getting wet or something. She could tell he was having another nightmare. Horrible one. Okay. It was never He had never been awakened by his body like this before, and she was afraid to wake him up after she turned on her lamp and saw the evil look on his face that he was holding even with his eyes closed. She backed slowly. This whole paragraph needs some reworking. She backed slowly out of the bed and watched him for a minute before deciding that she had no choice. She had to wake him up from the nightmare. Okay, that was intensely confusing. So I guess he's sleeping. He has an evil look on his face.
Mm.
And for some reason, instead of just going, I'm gonna go sleep on the fucking couch, she wants to wake her husband who's struggling with PTSD and nightmares and has injured her in his sleep. And instead of just leaving him be,
Mm.
he wants to wake him up. The worst thing you could do, but Kayla's not that smart. We know that by this point.
Well,
She
no, but
slowly reached her hand.
it is very different because usually, basically, they pander around him like Kayla and his mum pander around him like he's a fucking baby. Like, usually she'll get up, she'll do everything. It doesn't matter if she's got any issues. She apparently never has any issues. She is the most, okay person in the world. Like, she is the textbook abused wife. Like, don't wake your father. Let him do that. Let's cook him food and doesn't matter
Mm,
anything I want. Shh. Like, that's basically how she
right.
exists, which is very funny that that's the way that Lorne. Well, not funny. Funny is not the right word, but it's very appropriate that that's the way that Lorne writes his
Disturbing.
wife. Yeah, it's disturbing, but that is definitely a better word.
Yeah, this whole thing is very concerning. If a psychologist got a hold of this, yikes. She slowly reached her hand across the bed toward his sweaty shoulder and nudged him gently the first time. He didn't wake up. She nudged him harder, then jumped back as he shot straight up in bed with his eyes open and once again soaked in sweat. She slowly stepped toward the bed, not knowing if he was actually awake or if he was still sleeping with his eyes open. Lorne, she let out gently. Lorne, I'm trying to hang out with my friends. Get that cocksucker in there with you. I'm sorry. Lorne's eyes shifted toward Kayla, and she relaxed as she saw his eyes welling up with tears. She reached out and wrapped her arms around him and began to cry over the pain he was going through. Did she start to cry? Yeah, wrapped her arms around him and began to cry over the pain he was going through in his mind. She wished she could make it all go away, but she knew it wasn't that easy. All she could do was be there for him and hold on to him tightly to let him know that everything was going to be all right. Lorne and Caleb both knew deep down it wasn't all right. That what was happening to Lorne has completely fuck, was happening to Lorne had completely changed their lives, and they would never be the same again, no matter how much they both wanted it to be, no matter how much they pretended like it could be. Why?
Mm.
Why?
It's
What
it's
happened? We never
it's
got.
no, but on top of that, it's changed. It's changed their life. It has essentially ruined their life and it will go on to in more ways than they can currently imagine right now. If only he had access to a psychiatrist where they could have
That'd be
worked on
great.
this. Like, it is such a shame that psychiatrists weren't around in this time, and B, he never had one to begin with. Like, what could have been avoided?
Whoa, but Cornville, actually, no, he was seeing a psychiatrist. If you'll remember, he stopped seeing one for no particular reason. But he actually was seeing one. I don't. It was a minor part of the book, but it did happen. After, yeah, after getting in the shower and washing the sweat from his body, Lorne returned to bed with Kayla and just laid there with his eyes open for the rest of the night. His trip in the woods ran through his mind. Something had happened that was troubling him, but he wasn't sure what it was. Okay, so guess he doesn't remember it now. At some point between him returning home and covering up the dead body and not telling his wife about it purposefully, and him sleeping, he doesn't remember it. He couldn't remember what had happened when he was in the woods, but for some reason it was bothered by it. Can't I remember? He asked himself as he stared into the darkness in the bedroom. Morning finally appeared. It just appeared out of nowhere, and Lorne sat lazily up in bed and turned to look at Kayla sleeping. He wanted so much to be the man she fell in love with, but knew that man was no longer anywhere to be found. He felt an emptiness grow inside him. He longed for the man he used to be. He stood up. Oh, this is so Lorne. This is like ridiculously. He's always been this way. Nothing has changed. He's had nightmares. He's been a dick to his wife.
Yeah.
He's gone. He's done stupid shit. Like, what's changed? I don't.
Well, that's right. And how many
That's all
times
that-
have we heard, I don't understand why I'm having these nightmares? Well, like, do something about it. And I just wanted to quickly say hello to La Senorita. And what is playing? That's weird. Something is. Can you hear that?
I can, yeah. It's just ever so slightly.
This is fucking weird.
So, oh my God, we're getting a disturbance from the nether realm. Somebody call Zach Baggins. Where's Kelp Pill? Kelp Pill, you like this stuff. What's going on here?
I know
Playing
what
good.
it's playing on my other computer. Sorry guys, just one second. There we go. Awesome. It wouldn't. I don't think it'd be a stream without something fucking up. So I feel good now. The fuck ups out of the way, and we can just relax for the rest. So what I was saying was hello to La Senorita, and also to I Died It By Myself and Freaky Gyrations. And I just quickly wanted to say, I saw a few people asking for a link to Weird Version's album release, so I've just pinned that in the top of the chat. Winnie's boyfriend/husband was asked to do it, but it seems that he's too lazy. So as well as trying to deal with all the shit that's fucking up on my stream, and that I've had to do that. So thanks for that. Flash, pretty standard, really. Back to you, mate.
The real hero.
G'day, Bog Moses Jones, and thank you. I do appreciate that. I am the real hero, and finally someone is saying it to me.
Like you have that gun against my head, so I kind of have to say it. But felt an emptiness grow inside him, and he longed for the man he used to be. He stood up from the bed and made his way to the kitchen when the automatic coffee pot. Here's the breakfast part of the chapter. The automatic coffee pot was finishing up brewing the first fresh pot of coffee. After pouring himself his first cup of coffee for the day, he strolled to his son's bedroom, quietly opened the door, and walked over and watched his son sleeping peacefully. He stood over his son and drank his coffee as he fell into a deep thought. Wanted to be the dad to his son that he had planned on being when Brad was born, but something inside him had grown scared and had now removed the life that Lorne had originally wanted. Burning feeling grew in his stomach as he finished his last drink of coffee. I just imagine him like running his knife against his face while he's standing over his son who's sleeping and drinking coffee. This is a very odd scene he's setting here. He bent over. Oh, it gets weirder. He bent over and kissed his son on the forehead, then exited the bedroom, closing the door behind him. Lorne sat down at the kitchen table with a pen in hand, a brand new notebook in front of him, and his second cup of coffee. He thought for a minute while he sipped on his coffee about what he was about to write. Okay. Then he began at the top of the page for the title, Lorne's Journal. He wrote in big letters. Since it had been bothering him that he couldn't remember what he had done, he was trying to remember. He figured if he made a journal, he'd always be able to go back and look. He began writing in his journal about everything he could remember that he did from the day before. He even wrote down that there was a piece of the day missing because he couldn't remember what he did from the day before. Right. Once he finished writing about the previous day, he began writing about what he had done since he first woke up. He closed the notebook up, finished his coffee, then hid the notebook in his desk drawer under a stack of old military folders. Okay. That's a very strange situation. Halfway into his third cup of coffee, Lorne began to grow sweaty. He was remembering what he had done the day before. He wiped the sweat from his forehead with a paper towel and wrote a note to Kayla. Oh
Paper
my
towel?
God, if he says he's leaving her, he just ripped off some Downy, you know?
He's so fucking weird. And g'day,
He's so
Lorne
sweaty,
Green
too.
Swing toilet. He is. He is a very sweaty person, which I imagine
The
real
fucking
Lorne.
air conditioner.
Yeah, I imagine real Lorne is quite sweaty, to be honest.
Me too.
Are you all ready, or do you want me to read for a bit?
You can take over. I'm at Good Morning, Honey. I've gone out for a while. Oh, so he's fucking leaving her again with the kid. Perfect. Excellent.
He's gone for an angry walk. Good morning, honey. I've gone out for a walk this morning. I'll be back in a little while. I love you, Lorne. He left the note on the table where Kayla could easily see it, then grabbed his honey knife and started out to the shed for a shovel. He noticed his little American flag hanging on the wall from the dowel and decided to take it with him. He also grabbed a roll of black plastic that lay unused in the back corner of the shed, then began out into the woods where he had committed the murder.
He remembers.
That's right, he remembers. So, but also, is that like something that people just have lying
It was literally
around?
a bag of plastic, like a garbage
Like a
bag.
roll.
Maybe.
Well, he said it's a roll of black plastic. So, like the only time I've used like black plastic like that is when I've like if I've been making like a garden bed or like a something, and like you put that down, like almost use it as kind of like a weed matting, like. I don't know. I mean, it might be normal to have that, but like just big roll of black fucking plastic.
I think he means a garbage bag because they come in rolls, right?
Yeah, they do.
I think that's what he means.
It must be. The closer that Lorne got to the dead body, the more intense the look on his face became. He let out a sigh once he reached the lifeless body of the man he murdered. He laid the black plastic on the ground next to the man and unrolled it to the length of the dead man's body. No, so it's a length of plastic because like a roll of garbage bags, like it's you can't just roll it infinitely. Like it's got the little perforated bits, so you rip off the plastic bag. So he's just got fucking black plastic lying around like he's fucking Dexter.
Right. Yeah, that's weird.
It is pretty fucking pretty weird. Okay, so he's rolled out the black plastic on the ground next to the man to the length of his body, then rolled the body into it. I don't, whatever. I'm sick of thinking about this fucking black plastic. I don't know how he rolls him into it, but anyway. Digging a shallow grave for the body about 3 feet down, Lorne stood back and looked at the grave, then the body, then the grave, then the body. No. Finally satisfied, he pulled on the plastic and instead of dragged the body to the hole, then wrapped the plastic over the top of the body and began covering it up with dirt. When he finished filling the shallow grave, he poked the little American flag into the ground at the head of the grave. He stood there staring at the grave, said a silent prayer for the man he had murdered, picked up his shovel and began back to his house. All right. A few thoughts from me, and I'm sure you've got some thoughts. So,
oh yeah.
Firstly, that was confusing as fuck, the way he explained burying him. I would have just preferred him say he dug a shallow grave and buried the man. Like, I mean, if your descriptions are going to be that confusing, just say he fucking buried him. And on top of that, it's like the way he describes getting into cars and shit. Like if you just said he dug a shallow grave and buried the man, like we got no more information from your description. Like no one's going to, like you just said he buried him, no one's going to go, well, how did he do it? How deep did he dig the grave? Like, the same as he describes getting into a car, he describes, opening the door, moving
Bring
towards
the
the car,
door, fucking.
gently lowering himself into the car. Like, if you just said he got into his car and began to drive, no one's going to go, oh, well, this is outrageous. How did he get in the car? He just jumped through the fucking window, did he? Come on. Like everyone knows how to get into a car. You don't have to explain those things. And okay, not everyone knows how to bury a dead body, but if you said he buried him, everyone would have been like, okay, the man is buried. So, but my next thought is, why is he putting American flags there? A, what was the point of burying him if you're basically going to put a marker? Like, if someone's walking through that bush and they see an American flag stuck there, they're going to assume something is odd there. No one's just walking around putting random American flags. And B, if you believe this guy was the enemy, why are you giving him like your own little version of an American, military funeral? Like, should you think he deserves no honor because you thought he was the enemy who, you went over there to fight? What? I don't understand any of it.
Moreover, he took glee in murdering him, and then he has like a ceremony and says a silent prayer. Why?
Exactly.
And also now he remembers it. He was just writing about how he didn't remember a chunk of the previous day. All of a sudden, remembers it.
That's
why?
Right.
I don't know.
And then that's exactly it. So he snapped out of this, but why? What caused him to snap out of it? Like, these are questions that we will never have answered. Okay. Once he got back to the house, he returned the shovel to the shed, along with the roll of black plastic, and then cleaned the dirt off the bottom of his boots and went inside the house, where he found Kayla waiting for him with a fresh cup of coffee and a plate of bacon, eggs, and toast, and also a passed out narrator from having to read that fucking sentence without any punctuation. She greeted him with a
Loves
kiss.
his run-on sentences.
He really fucking does. She greeted him with a kiss after he sat down at the table, and he returned with a, "Good morning, beautiful." "Good morning," she replied. "How was your walk?" "It was good. Refreshing," he described. All of a sudden, Lorne began thinking to himself, what was Kayla talking about when she said his walk? He couldn't remember taking a walk this morning. He remembered writing in his journal, but couldn't remember anything about taking a walk. What? So he is...
Why? We need that moment where he's like, we need to switch back and forth, or we need, nothing could save this. But what would happen typically is we'd get a gap in the book. He'd leave the house, and then he'd show back up, and Kayla would be like, "How was your walk?" And we as the audience would know nothing about the walk. We'd be like, "What?" And then there'd be an element of mystery propelling us forward into the story. Instead, we see it all, and then we're just left confused with no bait at the end of that string. There's nothing to work towards because we know what happened, and we're still confused by it.
And so, is it entering the house that somehow wipes or kickstarts his memory? Because he's buried the guy, he's come back home, he's put away the shovel, he's taken dirt off his shoes, he's put away the fucking black plastic wrap. So you would assume that he knows exactly what he's done there, because if that isn't the case, when you're putting away a dirty shovel and you're putting away black plastic wrap, wouldn't that be like, whoa, why am I putting away murder tools? But it's the walking in the house and the "hi beautiful" that suddenly snaps him back into, what? Why is she talking about a walk? I didn't go for a walk. I don't.
Why is he faking? He must know he did something wrong, because otherwise he'd be like, "What? What are you talking about? Where was I? What just happened the last 45 minutes? I don't remember it." He knows. Oh God, he is so fucking stupid.
It's a lot. A lot of this, it feels like he writes a sentence, he walks away, goes into the fucking exercise yard, fucking eats or something, comes back and doesn't reread what he's written and just keeps writing from a new place.
Yeah.
Okay. Doesn't remember taking a walk. "Are you alright, honey?" Kayla asked Lorne after noticing the confused look he held on his face. Lorne remained silent as he stared into space. "Lorne!" Kayla let out a more stern tone to snap Lorne out of the trance he was in. "Huh?" he asked. "Are you alright?" Kayla repeated. You were staring off into space with a look of confusion on your face. Yes, I'm fine, honey, Lorne replied as he quickly thought up a reason for his momentary absence of mind. I was just thinking about what a nice morning it is outside. It's peaceful. Okay, Kayla returned. Eat your breakfast before it gets cold. She ordered as she gave him a kiss on the lips.
Okay, Mom.
Exactly, and then left the kitchen to retrieve Brad from his crib. Lorne quickly gobbled up his food on his plate and got up with his cup of coffee and went to his desk to write in his journal. He could hear Kayla in the bathroom giving Trevor Brad a bath. He wanted to write in his journal without her knowing about it because just maybe with any luck, this would help him get back to normal. Why does he have to hide writing in his journal? Hasn't he told her that he was going to keep a journal? Like,
No, I don't think he told her, but
okay.
A, why would it help him get back to normal? What leads him to think that? And B, why hide it? Just go, hey, I'm keeping a journal.
Yeah.
What's the fucking
And
problem?
and some jealous basement dweller says, guys, he has CPTSD. So,
Right.
and at the same
I am
time,
a victim.
we are copying we're copying a lot of flack in the chat. Because Shins Koala also says, God damn it, feel some compassion and sympathy for Aaron. So maybe we're being too harsh, man. Like we're not.
No, we're not. If anything, we're being too lenient.
Yeah, I agree. So fuck Lorne. Anyway, he began moving his pen like he was writing something, but the pen never touched the paper. He stopped moving his pen and rested his forehead on his hand to gather his thoughts. The fact that he couldn't remember taking a walk bothered him more and more, and he wasn't sure how to handle it. He took a deep sigh, lifted his head from his hands, and began writing. I'm lost right now. I'm at a point that is making me wonder if I am safe to be around my wife and child or not. Though I have not done anything to harm anyone that I am aware of, it... What? It's...
Yeah, why? I don't write down I have not done anything to harm someone that I am aware of. There's no need for that qualifier. If I'm not aware of it, I haven't done it. You know, like, why add, so he knows, on some level he knows.
Exactly. But it scares me to think that it's a possibility. My wife asked me how my walk was this morning, and I played along with her like I knew what she was talking about. But in all honesty, I didn't have a clue. I became confused about her question. Did I take a walk this morning? If I did, then where did I walk to, and why can't I remember it? I long to be back to my normal exclamation mark F for self, my normal self, and not be experiencing this. But it's what's happening to me, and I'm trying to deal with it the best way I can. I love my wife and son very much. I know it doesn't look like it right now. And will do everything possible to get back to my normal self. I'm afraid I may need more help than anyone will be able to give me. Well, just take the help that the psychiatrist wanted you to take. It may not be enough, but it's better than nothing.
Yes, and also, you were not a good husband to your wife or a father for your son prior to this. He hasn't had any scenes with his child, except for one scene where he was like playing with his kid. He doesn't take his kid anywhere. He abandons his wife for days without asking for permission or making sure, like, hey, we got everything sorted out. Like, he was an asshole before. This is just a convenient excuse for his assholedom. Much like, well, I've been catfished before, examples of my past, all that bullshit. Has nothing to do with him.
Absolutely.
It's thereafter.
Absolutely. Right. Lorne quickly closed his journal and placed it back beneath his military folders in his desk drawer. Then closed the drawer when he heard Kayla's footsteps coming out of the bathroom with Brad in her arms, wrapped in a bath towel. He took a sip at his coffee, and that was now becoming cold for sitting too long. Then placed his cup back on the desk and held his arms out to take his son from Kayla's arms. Brad giggled and drooled when Lorne began tickling under his chin and being playful with his son to get him to laugh. Lorne and Kayla both cherished moments like this where they all felt like there was nothing wrong in their lives. Kayla opened the junk drawer in the kitchen and pulled out the disposable camera to take a picture of Lorne and Trevor in what seemed like a perfect father and son moment. After she took the picture,
This is
Lorne
the
stood
first
up.
time they've met.
After she took the picture, Lorne stood up and handed Brad back to Kayla. I have to go do a few things.
What?
So he's had like a minute.
Why? Hold your son for a few minutes. God, Jesus Christ. What an asshole.
It's been a good minute, mate. Like, you don't need to spend
He's
more
like,
than
all
that.
right, get this kid out of my fucking arms.
You don't need to spend more than that with your kids. That's what the woman is for.
Okay, my bad.
I have to go do a few things, but I'll be back later, okay? He told her. Well, did he tell her or did he ask her? He says I have
There's a
to.
huge difference.
Yeah, he's asked, I'll be back later, okay, question mark. He told her. That's not telling someone. Okay, drive careful, Kayla replied after Lorne grabbed his keys and gave her a kiss. I will, Lorne said as he walked out the door. Why would Daddy leave so abruptly like that when we were having such fun? Kayla asked toward Brad. That's a fair question, Kayla. Though she knew
Yeah, good question.
he couldn't understand what she was saying. She looked in curiosity out the window as Lorne backed out of the driveway, then shrugged her shoulders as to not try to figure out the answer to the question she just asked Brad. And how did Lorne get into the car? He didn't tell us this time. I assume he crashed through the window. Well, he must have had to do something important, or wouldn't have left us in such a hurry like he did, Kayla said out loud, basically to herself. This kid must think, my parents are fucking whack jobs.
And this kid's got a rough uphill battle in life with these two fucking parents.
Absolutely. Dad's never around, holds me from no more than 30 seconds, and Mum just constantly fucking talks to herself.
Asks me rhetorical questions that she already knows the answer to.
I can't fucking answer, bitch. Jesus. Lorne drove along, not really knowing where he was going. His hands had become hot and clammy, and beads of sweat were rolling down from his temple. He's sweating again. He pulled in the parking lot of the local grocery store, turned his car off, and placed his hand on his forehead, and felt the heat inside him grow. He looked up and watched a man in his mid-20s walk out of the grocery store alone. The man was about 5 feet 9 inches tall and was a slight chunky. That is the funniest thing Lorne has ever said. A slight chunky. Probably 170 to 180 pounds. Between 100 and 200 pounds. The glare in Lorne's eyes grew more intense the longer he stared at the young man. Lorne began to grow angry at the man, like he had done something to offend Lorne. He watched the man as he unloaded his groceries into his car. When the man was finished, he got in his car and began to drive off. Lorne started his car and followed the man as he pulled out of the grocery store, parking lot, and onto the busy street. He decided to stay a couple of cars behind the man so that he wouldn't get suspicious about seeing Lorne following him. The street became less busy the further they got from the stores, and Lorne became the only car left behind the man. Jesus, he says man a lot in that paragraph. He remained about 50 feet behind him until they were far enough away from the town where they were to be basically the only two cars on the road. Lorne stepped on the accelerator to close the distance between him and the man. The man then slowed down to turn into a side road, so Lorne had to quickly and firmly step on his brakes. He then followed the man onto the side road and stepped heavily on the accelerator to get up beside the man on the desolate street. The man glanced over at Lorne as Lorne pulled up beside him. He thought Lorne was only passing him until he saw the look on Lorne's face and felt the fear build inside of himself. He stepped on his accelerator to try to pull away from Lorne, but Lorne kept up with the man. The fear grew strong inside the man after taking a second look at Lorne's face. I want to see Lorne's face. Just like I don't know if you watch The Office, but I imagine his face is like the way when have you seen The Office?
Yeah, I've seen The Office.
Yeah. You know when Toby leaves and like the Goodbye Toby episode, and Toby's about in the exit interview is about to tell what's her name about the rock and all that kind of shit. He's just like got his hands over his face, and he's still. I imagine that's what Lorne looks like.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Then Lorne quickly swerved his car toward the man and forced the man off the road and into the ditch where the man, fuck me, I can't say man anymore, came to an abrupt stop from slamming hard into a big boulder. Lorne slowed to a stop, then put his car in reverse and backed up to where the man went off the road. He pressed on the brakes and brought the car to a stop once he reached the man's car. There was no movement from the now totaled vehicle that lay smashed up in the ditch he noticed. What? There was no movement from the now totaled vehicle that lay smashed up in the ditch he noticed. Lorne got out of his car and opened his trunk to pull out his tyre iron. He heard a noise come from the vehicle as he straightened up with the tyre iron in his hand and looked toward the crashed car. The man was climbing slowly out of the broken out driver's side window. This is the worst he has written. This is awful. The man was climbing slowly out of the broken out driver's side window with blood all over him from the crash. The sight made Lorne excited and he began moving toward the man and watched him slowly crawl out of the car and onto the glass-covered ground, colouring it with his blood. The man let his head fall to the ground with a thud from exhaustion and watched Lorne slowly step up to him and stare at him with death in his eyes. He slowly turned himself over and held up both his hands and sputtered, "Please, no." He stopped after the word no, as Lorne's tyre iron began smashing against the man's already bloodied skull. Lorne's eyes grew angrier with every hit he delivered against the man's head. Lorne stopped when he realised the man was no longer able to move because he'd had the life beaten out of his body. Holy shit, this is awful. And that's actually a good suggestion. I wish I read the suggestion Kelpill made before to call the man Steve. That would have been so much better than the man. Like, fucking
This
hell.
This whole thing is completely superfluous. He already enjoyed murdering. This doesn't further along his progression towards becoming a cold-blooded killer. He started as a cold-blooded killer. Him tracking this guy down for no reason doesn't do anything. We've already had this, and we're gonna have it again. This is like, you cut it. This is left on the cutting room floor. This is all just bullshit.
I mean, none of this at all makes sense. The only slight, praise or whatever you want to call it, or give here, or, defense I'll give here is that the only thing, so we already know he likes killing, but this is the first time that he hasn't said, the man, like the enemy was there. So he's kind of moved from killing the enemy
to the man,
and but being happy about it too. Being happy about it, and now he just knows these are people. Like, he is just killing people now. So that is a slight defense there, but
a slight chunky, but
a slight chunky.
It's fine.
I'll let you read for a little bit, mate. I need to.
Lorne stepped back and looked around as his chest pounded in and out from overexertion. Went to his car and retrieved the tarp that lay under the spare tire, then returned back to the dead man and wrapped his lifeless body inside the tarp. Struggled and groaned. Gotta struggle a little bit here. When he picked up the dead body and threw it over his shoulder to carry it to the trunk of his car. Lorne felt his back grow wet with sweat when the man's blood streamed from an opening in the tarp and landed on his shirt. Once the dead body was in his trunk, he removed his shirt, set it on fire, and threw it on the dead grass next to the car, and watched as the fire began to grow. He turned back to his car, closed the trunk, and sped away. Okay, that would have been interesting if, like, a little bit of blood splattered on the back of his shirt, and then later Kayla noticed it, and she got suspicious. But no, he just burns it so that you can just cut that out. Lorne returned home and was able to get to the bedroom without Kayla seeing him. Got another shirt out of the dresser, so he was shirtless the whole drive home? Weird. He got another shirt out of the dresser that was the same color as the one he lit on fire and threw in the grass where he killed the man that was now in the trunk of his car. Jesus Christ. I remember, it was in the last paragraph. You don't have to remind me that. After putting on his new shirt, he went back to the kitchen and looked out the window to see Kayla was out back with Brad, hanging clothes on the line to dry. He opened the back door, snuck up behind her, and gave her a kiss.
Oh,
Hi,
more
honey,
kissing.
she said.
Stop
Oh,
fucking
there's. At
kissing.
least it's not his mom. At
Well,
least
that's
there's
true.
that. Honey, she said in surprise. Hi, Lorne returned as he bent over and gave his son a kiss on the cheek. I'm happy you're back. I need to go to the store to get. She got groceries yesterday. I need to go to the store to get groceries, and I don't have much gas in my car, so I thought I'd use yours, Kayla stated.
I mean, Lorne
Lorne
does
grew
need a lot,
silent.
so perhaps they need to
Right.
shop daily.
Yeah, apparently. Or she's just really shitty at planning a grocery list. She doesn't seem like the type who plans ahead very well.
She is stupid.
Lorne grew silent. We know that. Lorne grew silent as he quickly thought of how to make sure Kayla wouldn't find the body in the trunk. Okay, he said. I'll go clean my stuff of it while you finish hanging clothes and get Trevor ready. Okay, Kayla agreed as Lorne gave her another kiss. Lorne went back to the car and backed it up to his shed. He opened the trunk and carefully pulled on the tarp with the dead body inside and drug it out of the trunk and into the shed. He returned to the car and pulled it back to the spot in the driveway where Kayla could safely pull out into the street. He then returned into the house where Kayla was waiting with Trevor in her arms. I guess she didn't see that by the door to leave to go shopping. So she's taking Brad with her shopping.
Yeah,
Oh my god. Even though he's home.
that's
I
right. Well,
guess
he
the
can't.
husband can't.
Well, he can't be expected to do anything. Like, he exists
This is
to.
totally.
He's a man. All he's expected to do is eat, sleep, fuck, and murder people. Like that. That is his role. And
He doesn't even go to work.
no need to work. You work when you want to work.
Yeah, that's Lauren's philosophy. The car's all clean for you, Lauren said as he handed Kayla keys and kissed her and Trevor goodbye. Lauren stood in the doorway and watched Kayla drive away, then quickly went back to the shed. He rolled the wheelbarrow in front of the shed and loaded the dead body in it along with the shovel, utility knife, and another little American flag from the bunch he had bought the day before. I know, strange little. He's the American flag killer. So he's gonna be dubbed as in the media. That he bought the day before he committed the murder. It's a happy accident. He made his way to the woods to where he had buried the body of the last man he killed and began digging another shallow grave next to it. Once he got the grave dug, he pulled the body into the hole, filled the hole back in, and placed another American flag at the head of the grave. He returned back to the house and took a shower to wash the dirt and sweat away. After drying himself off, he donned his robe and sat down to watch the television with a hot cup of coffee. Oh, to be this version of Lorne. You just go around murdering people, your wife takes care of your kids, and she goes shopping daily, so you have plenty of time by yourself to just sit, drink fucking coffee, and watch television. I hate this guy so much, and it's not even for murdering. Like, do you know what I mean? This guy is not my guy.
No, I think that's a fair call. And g'day, Dan's confused entrance.
He realized he had dozed off when he heard the car door slam. He realized he had dozed off, so he woke up when the car door slammed, I guess. He looked out the window to find Kayla and Brad had returned home from shopping. So he slipped on his slippers and went out to the car to help her carry the groceries in. I'm guessing she bitched him out yesterday because he didn't offer to help carry the groceries in. We
Yes.
just didn't get to see that conversation. Hi, honey, Kayla said when she saw Lauren come out to the car to help her. Hi, this is the exact same shit as earlier. One for one. Hi, honey, hi. That's their back and forth. That must be like a code for them. Lauren returned with a yawn as he reached in the back seat to pull Trevor or Brad from the car seat. Kayla opened up the trunk and pulled 2 bags of groceries out, then looked down towards the license plate and noticed red color on the license plate itself. We didn't hear about blood spilling on the license plate. He should have set that up earlier. That'd be a little, a set up and payoff. But no. Honey, she called to Lorne. What's this? She asked, pointing at the red spot on the license plate. Odd place for there to be some blood. Lorne made his way. And why didn't she notice it at the store when she was putting the groceries in there to begin with?
Well, yeah, that's a good point.
See,
Like,
Lorne didn't read back through this at any point and think about his story.
well, that's what the 5 editors were for, you know.
All
And
right.
they did such a fantastic job.
I can hardly pinpoint a plot hole in this story.
It is airtight.
Lorne made his way to the back of the car with Brad in his arms and looked down to where Kayla was pointing. I don't know, Lorne replied with all innocence. He rubbed his index finger on it to find that it was dry. I'll wash it off in the morning. I must have rubbed something up against it while I was carrying something the other day and scratched some paint off of it. Okay, but why is there blood on it? Kayla asked. Lorne grabbed a bag of groceries
Uh-oh.
in his empty hand and began toward the house. Kayla grabbed the last couple bags, closed the trunk, and followed behind Lorne and Brad, giving no more thought to the red on the license plate and accepting Lorne's explanation. Dumb bitch. That night after supper, Lorne sat down on the couch to watch the evening news. He listened closely as the anchor reported about the car was found ablaze on the side street and two men that have been missing. Man missing for a couple days and the other one since earlier that day. They showed pictures of the men and it made Lorne sit up and wide-eyed staring at the pictures. Is everything all right, honey? Kayla asked. Lorne paused before replying. It seems like I've seen the okay. I'll finish this and then it seems like I've seen those two men recently. That's so odd because their faces look so familiar, but I can't place them, he answered as he struggled to remember where he had seen the men. So he doesn't remember, but Kayla points out that there's blood on his license plate and he covers up for it. Or is he really that stupid that he thinks, oh, I guess it's red underneath the license plate and it looks like blood, and he touches it and he notes it's dried blood. So,
Yes.
again, I like I don't know what he knows. Is he does When does he know that he's murdered people and when does he not? When it's convenient to the story?
Well,
That
exactly. Like it doesn't like there is no like there is no catalyst for why he goes in and out of
mhm.
consciousness around what he's doing. It's just weird. Like
I can't pin it.
it doesn't like all he had to do was follow just your standard kind of psycho killer tropes. You know what I mean? Like I know Lorne
Yeah.
doesn't watch a lot of TV outside of having shit on loud in the background so he doesn't feel alone. I get that, but he's 50 fucking years old at this point in time. He was 37, 38 or whatever point in jail that he wrote this. I mean, you would have picked up enough pop culture to know that there has to be a trigger point. You can't like it's just shit. He's just so fucking lazy. Like he had 5 years of doing nothing, um, where he could have actually done a half decent job, but he's just a lazy piece of shit.
Do you think that he thinks that he did a good job on this? Like everybody has their own bar of what's acceptable.
Oh,
Do you think he thinks this is good?
definitely. Oh, absolutely. I think he thinks this is very, I think this he thinks this is very good. I don't think he hasn't done. I think the reason he hasn't done a better job is because he's lazy. So I don't think he was just kind of like, wrote the last word, stepped away, and was like, it's complete. The masterpiece is done. But so I think it's just standard because he just couldn't be fucked. Just idea come to his head, he writes it, goes, righto, motherfuckers, over to you to edit it, and I'm done. But I do think that he thinks this is a good book because otherwise I don't think he would have published it. And he's surrounded by a
Hey,
team of
yeah.
enablers really. I mean, that's if you believe his story. Like he said, like his mother pushed him to publish it. I mean, that could be a complete lie. But in any case, he wouldn't have published it if he didn't think this was good. I don't think. It's the same as he's
I
singing. Like
legitimately.
Like he'll sing a song where it is fucking atrocious and even worse than it is. Like he can't get the high notes, but he'll still leave that voicemail. He'll still, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I legitimately thought when I asked that question, I forgot that he published this.
Yeah.
I don't know how that slipped my mind. Lorne grew bothered by this because of the fact that he had been having moments of not remembering things he had been doing, and it seemed to be happening more frequently than it had been before. I have no knowledge of it happening before, but I guess that is more frequent at some times than at not at any times. It took a long time for Lauren to get to sleep that night because of seeing the two men on television. He wanted to remember where he had seen them. He finally fell asleep around 2:30 a.m. He didn't sleep very well though because he woke up 2 hours later in a cold sweat. Or sweat. After moving Kayla's arms from being wrapped around him, he rolled out of bed and got in the shower. As the warm water covered his head and body, an anxious and overwhelming feeling came over him. Needed needed fresh air fast. He quickly dried himself off and donned his clothes, and made his way to the front door and began pacing back and forth in the driveway. After 15 minutes of pacing, Lauren's body grew more tense, and he began feeling stressed out. I'm stressed, read out. He made his way back to the house to get his car keys, his buck knife, the bag of little American flags he had bought earlier. Then back outside to the shed for the roll of plastic that he'd used to wrap his other murder victims in. He threw the items in the trunk of his car and got in and drove away toward town. The middle of the night? I'm assuming this is a small town. This probably isn't. I don't know.
I've always
Whatever.
thought of it as a small town. But yeah, but we for no
Yeah.
reason we've
The town.
we've been given no context, but that's how it is in my head.
Yeah, you're right. We have no reason to believe that. We both. The town was quiet and almost empty in the early morning, so Lorne knew he could find his next victim without anyone else knowing anything. Well said. Pulled his car in back of the local grocery store and hid behind the big dumpster as he watched three young women smoking a cigarette out by the rear entrance. He stayed quiet as he listened to their conversation about the night of work and the day ahead of them. One lady finished working her shift and was having a cigarette with the two other women before she went home. That describes all three of them. They're
Yeah.
all gonna go home after this.
Yeah. Let me
God
finish
damn
my
it.
cigarette.
Let me finish my cigarette. After about 10 minutes of kneeling behind the big dumpster, the ladies finally extinguished their cigarettes and parted ways. Did they work at the grocery store that closed at 2:30 a.m. or like 4:30 a.m.? Were
I
they just
assume
hanging
so.
out downtown smoking cigarettes? Or, like, who are these people? Once the rear entrance door closed, Lauren quietly stepped out from behind the dumpster and approached the young lady from behind. He put his buck knife up against her back as she was unlocking her car door. Exactly as I say, or I'll kill you, Lauren ordered sternly. Felt the young lady's body begin to shake as he pressed it against his own. The fear that was emanating from her is what Lauren was longing for. Walk along this way towards my car quietly, he demanded. The young lady did as she was told, as Lauren helped lead her in the direction of his car. Once they were at Lauren's car, he opened the trunk, pulled out an old towel that lay in the back, and tied it around her eyes. He then put the duct tape over her mouth and tied her hands back behind her back and ordered her to get in the trunk. Reluctant
So
and in tears.
he's tied a towel. Like, is this like a fucking beach towel? Like, how big is this towel that he's tied
Yeah,
around her
right.
eyes?
Yeah, couldn't he go pick up some zip ties while he was buying all these American flags for his murders, or some duct tape or some shit? Come on, dude.
Mm.
Use the duct tape that you used on her
Exactly.
mouth to tie her hands.
Exactly. No, but a fucking beach towel, which she can probably just shake her head and get off. Like, oh, fuck it, hell. Like, I see you, weird looking dude. Anyway.
Yeah. Smokey the cat said, "Imagine Lauren trying this in real life. He would get punched in the face by this woman." expected her. She's hanging out downtown at 4:30 in the morning. I expect her to have some pepper spray. Like weird guys following you to your car, you have that pepper spray ready to go. But
Mm.
ladies got to learn the hard way. You know, some people
And
aren't to be trusted.
Pussy Destroyer says is the towel he used to put at the bottom of the door.
That towel. He's getting his money worth out of that towel.
That's it.
Reluctant and in tears, the young lady complied easily with when Lorne put the knife up to her throat and scratched her skin enough to make a little line of blood appear. Lorne closed the trunk and climbed in the car. Before leaving the town, Lorne stopped at a small convenience store and purchased a coffee and candy bar. What the fuck? When he came back out of the store, he could hear the young lady kicking in the trunk. He unlocked the trunk and opened it.
So he's
Won't
got
do
to
you any
he's
good to
got to
kick.
he's got to eat even while he's fucking murdering people. Like
And drink coffee.
this fat fuck can't just murder someone without needing to eat. Like that is ridiculous. I mean, so he's going to go
What a
to
candy bar, too.
he's going to go to a
What a piece of
convenience
shit.
store. Yeah, but he's going to go to a convenience store which most likely has CCTV outside there. So he's going to risk getting caught
Yeah.
because this motherfucker needs some candy and some coffee. Like that's ridiculous. In a book of ridiculousness, that is up there with that is top 10. Like if we do like a bit of a top 10 craziest, most stupid things from this book when we finish, that's got to be in there.
That's good. It's a good idea.
Fuck
Yeah, but like he's cogent enough to know that he needs some caffeine and some food, but he's also crazy and he's not going to remember this tomorrow morning. Like
Exactly. Like it's just
oh,
ridiculous. I really this is my most hated part of this book. Like without a doubt. Like might be a big call, but I would read another 20 chapters of his disgusting fucking and dampness expelling than this.
agreed. This is fucking ridiculous. This is a very confusing chapter in a book epitomized by the word confusing.
Yeah.
Won't do any good to kick. Nobody's coming to hear you, especially where we're going. He's in a parking lot in an open convenience store. This is not the place to chat with her. He watched the lady as she cried and stopped kicking, then closed the trunk back down and drove out of the town toward a back road that neared where he had dug the graves of the first two victims, so back towards his house. Once he was at the spot where he could park his car out of the way, where it couldn't be seen, he got out, opened the trunk, and helped the young lady out of the trunk. Oh, so he's a gentleman, even murdering people. After grabbing his shovel, flags, and roll of plastic, he grabbed the lady's arm and escorted her into the woods to the location of the two shallow graves.
And see, that's the thing too. The way he says that is that, he opened the trunk and helped her out of it. Like, you get the mental image of him being like, okay, leg down. Oh, just watch your head, just watch your head. Like, you're about to kill her, you fucking idiot. Like, the fuck?
Get out of the car, bitch. Come on. Be consistent. Once there, he sat her on the ground next to the pine tree and took off blindfold and the tape that was over her mouth. Okay. I'm gonna have you take over there. This is starting to...
Absolutely.
My brain is mush.
She saw Lorne's face for the first time. The look he held was one of hate and death. It scared her, and she began to cry once again as she let out the first question in a shaky voice. What are you going to do to me? Lorne ignored her question as he grabbed his shovel and two flags. She watched him as he stuck one flag into the ground. What? So he's putting them down before the murder now and before the burial. She's like... She watched as he stuck one flag into the ground at the head of the fresh grave. Well, how do you know where the head is of the grave when no one is in it? Like, what is he saying? So I'm going to bury you this way. Your head will be here and your feet will be here. I mean, not that really matters because you're going to be dead, but, why not? She realized what the fresh dirt was and began to cry harder as she frantically pushed backward and struggled to get to her feet and get away. Lorne saw her trying to get to her feet to escape and ran to stop her. Now, he said in a shuddering voice. What's a shuddering voice? That's not a wise thing to do to try and escape. That will only make me mad, and I might have to knock you out. Okay, like,
I'd rather be knocked out when I was murdered. Like, that's a
absolutely.
smart thing to do, lady.
Like, literally, you are like, I mean, and that's the other thing too. He has gone, in one chapter, he has gone from normal person having some nightmares, but a normal person who, in Lord's mind, is, this great guy, to not only murdering people, but in the most traumatic way possible. I mean, to recap what's going on here, he has kidnapped her, taken her there in the trunk of the car while taunting her, essentially, like basically, no, where we're going, no one's going to hear you, and all this kind of stuff. He is now making her watch her own grave be dug. You know what I mean? Like, he's not just killing people because he's afraid and he thinks they might be the enemy. This is cold-blooded. I mean, this is fucking advanced, highly escalated serial killer shit. Like, he has gone to there like that in the blink of an eye. And exactly, like, don't knock me out.
No
knock me
it.
the fuck out, motherfucker. Like, I don't want to sit here and watch my grave being dug, you piece of shit. Like, what a weird threat. The young lady stopped struggling, and that's the thing. Like, I can't get over with this poor writing. There has been no development. He has gone from, like, I mean, this is so dark. Like, I mean, if it was written better and there was more description, this would be one of the darker chapters of a thriller going.
Mm-hmm.
The young lady stopped struggling at Lorne's words and let him place her back up against the tree. Please. What are you going to do to me? She asked again as the tears fell from her eyes. Lorne returned to his shovel and began digging in the dirt. The young lady watched in horror as Lorne dug the outline of the same size as the grave next to it. She then realized he was digging another grave, her grave. What did she think he was doing before? Like,
just took her out he was gonna dig, and he wanted a lookout in case any coyotes showed up. That's what she thought originally.
That's what I mean. Like, exactly. Like, so she has now just realised that is her grave. What did she think, that he was just going to dig this grave, ask her to lie next to it and go, yeah, that's perfect. My next victim is going to be your size. Fantastic. Okay, Amber, you can go. Do you know your way out here, or do you want me to call you an Uber? Like, what the fuck?
Oh my god.
No, she cried. Please don't kill me, she begged of Lorne. But she was talking to the air. Lorne had completely blocked out any plea she made as he continued to dig. Lorne got the grave halfway dug when he decided to stop and take a break. He sat down beside the crying young lady, and to her surprise, he began talking to her like he wanted to get to know her. What is your name? He asked her. Amber, she answered in a wavered voice. Well, Amber, my name is Lorne, he introduced himself. Why are you doing it? Like, this is such a weird conversation too.
It's like running into someone at the supermarket, like, hey, I'm sorry, hey, what's your name? Oh, my name's Lorne. Like, it's a meet cute.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
This.
Like, it's like, you can, like, picture him, kind of digging his toe into the ground, like, all being all coy, like.
Bashful, yeah.
Yeah. Well, Amber, my name is Lorne. Why are you doing this, Lorne? She asked as tears started to roll. Lorne just sat there and ignored her question. How old are you, Amber? Lorne asked. I'm 22, she answered. Jesus. Do you live around here? I'm not sure where here is, because you didn't take off the blindfold until we got here in the woods. What a cute little conversation. You scamp. Amber replied as her voice began to calm. Thinking that Lorne might let her go, she answered his questions. Okay, so it's a quiz now. If you answer the quiz right, you get to go.
Right.
That's true, Lorne stated, giving Amber no indication of where they were. Do you plan on killing me? Amber asked him. Lorne didn't answer her question. He just sat and stared into space until he asked his next question. So, when did he finish digging the grave? Anyway, who cares?
I guess he just decided he was done.
Yeah. That's right. Half-assed it. Why wouldn't he half-ass
Right.
digging people's graves? He half-asses everything in his life. Do you have any kids, Amber? Yes, Amber replied. I have a little girl, giving him a confused look at his question. I'm with you, Amber. It is very confusing.
Hey, wait. She has a little girl. She's 22, and she was out at 4:30 a.m. just hanging out with her friends, smoking a cigarette.
Well,
I
was it?
mean, I guess it's possible, but
Hadn't
that
she
seems
finished?
odd.
Hadn't she finished work? Like, didn't he say something about the work? Like they were workers finished their shift. I can't remember, obviously.
I guess.
I
I
don't
don't
care
know.
enough to go back. Giving him a confused look at his question, she saw tears welling up in his eyes and decided to attempt another question. Are you all right? Okay, so he has gone from, like, once again, in an instant, he has gone from cold-blooded killer who is reveling in the fact that she is scared, reveling in the fact that she is basically made to watch the last moments of her life, to having tears in his eyes. And if this kind of stuff, so we're trying, like, once again, Lorne is trying to make us feel sympathy for a character that he has written in a way you have no choice to fucking hate. Like, and you can't undo that now. But what, like, if this is the case, if for some reason this now apparent cold-blooded killer would get, a crisis of conscience at hearing about someone having a kid, why is he asking these fucking questions? Like, what is going on?
Yeah, and she's 22. I'm generalizing here, but I don't think she'd be like, okay, I gotta play the fucking mother card here. Are you all right? How are you? She'd be like, please let me go. I got a kid. I gotta get out of here. But no, his understanding of like human reactions, he might be an alien, for all we know,
Yeah.
because his understanding of human reactions is so far off from anything resembling humanoid. It's blowing my mind a little bit.
Absolutely. And g'day, hardcore poetry. Lorne, are you crying? No. Sorry. Are you alright? No, I'm not. Lorne exhausted. I've killed 2 people already, and I'm about to kill you. I can't stop myself from killing, and I don't know why. I don't want to kill, but I can't stop myself. Amber began to realise that she was slowly getting Lorne to open up to her, so she kept him talking, so she could gain his trust, and
Fast.
and maybe have a chance at getting out of this alive. Have you seen a doctor about it? She asked. Yes, I went to for a while for intense therapy, but stopped. He answered. Why did you stop? Amber asked with sincere curiosity. Because I thought I was cured from all the bad dreams I'd been having and was sure I'd be alright. Despite, constant reminders that he's not good, despite the nightmares getting worse and, feeling basically like he's ostracized from his life. Despite all of that, he thought he was cured. Unfortunately, I've been feeling the urge to kill. I had started killing.
Unfortunately, I've been feeling the urge to kill. That is unfortunate for you, Amber.
Uh-oh! I had started killing just deer until I killed that man in the first grave. Then I killed this man in the second grave yesterday. Now I have you. Lorne sighed as he looked into the woman's fear-filled eyes. They were also mixed with pity for Lorne. No!
Fuck
No!
off.
Fuck you, Lorne, you fucking asshole. I was in Iraq and killed many enemies over there, but these 2 men were innocent, just like you are. But for some reason I had to kill them, thinking they were the enemy. Lorne stopped
He
speaking.
didn't. He didn't think the second guy was the enemy.
No,
Didn't think
100% he
that.
did not. 100% he did not. And g'day, Bludder on Adeline. And that's as
Good question, Calpel.
What's that? Would Nana want to see you die? And exactly as Shin said, what happened to him confusing his victims for the enemy? And as Blood on Adeline says,
Certainly doesn't think Amber's the enemy.
no. And as Blood on Adeline says, that's not how serial killers work. They enjoy killing, and it's usually based in sexual release. I've never heard of a serial killer that didn't like killing people. exactly. But
Well,
a
never
short
heard of Lorne.
well, that's right. But a short time ago, he seemingly did enjoy killing people, because if he wasn't enjoying it, he wouldn't have been taunting her. He wouldn't have been making her watch her own grave be dug. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? If this was if he was some rare breed of serial killer who just needed to kill people, but he didn't want to do it, he would have had all the grave dug already. He would have, put a bullet in the back of her head straight away, so he didn't have to go through all of this. Like, if he didn't want to do it, he would be doing this because he would be getting off on the fact that he is traumatizing her, that she's scared. Like, most serial killers really live off that fear. You know what I mean? It just doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. He
No.
much like Lorne wants to be a pedophile who people feel sorry for. He now wants to be a murderer that people feel sorry for. All right.
But I also like to point out, this scene proves that he can write not well, but he can write a scene where where someone asks the character Lorne questions about his mental state, and he answers them, and it lets us into the mind of him. Instead of having a therapist do it, it's a murder victim who has. The therapist should have had pity for Lorne. That's who should have felt bad for him, or someone at the mental institution that he went to should have had pity, not a murder victim. And this is not the place to have this line of questioning either. So wrong.
No, exactly. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't get it. Have you seen a doctor about it? Why did you stop? Blah blah blah. Okay. Cool. Do you have kids, Lorne? Lorne's head fell down toward the ground, and when he lifted it back up, Amber could see that she hit a soft spot in Lorne when the tears rolled down his cheeks. Yes, he answered. I have a son. Tell me about him, Amber asked as she gathered the thought in her head of rubbing the material binding her hand. Amber asked as she gathered the thought in her head of rubbing the material binding her hands behind her against the tree slowly so Lorne couldn't notice. Lorne looked at Amber.
Towel?
Yeah, the towel. And g'day, Egbert, and Lord of the Dinner Rings, and Anna Mango. G'day, guys. Thanks for being here. Lorne looked at Amber and could see the care she held inside. She had gained Lorne's trust.
That easily.
And she seemed like someone I could trust. From that moment on, and Lorne began a long story about Brad from the time he was born. He also told Amber about Kayla and how much in love they both were. But Amber wondered if that trust she had gained would be enough to save her life, so she continued to saw slowly at her bindings. Lorne finally finished his story and told Amber he had to get back to work digging. Amber looked at Lorne when he got up, and it was like someone had turned a switch on and off to make the completely different change in Lorne. She saw the look of hatred and death return when she watched him stand up. As Lorne continued, Amber was able to finally get her hands free, but she left them behind her back so Lorne wouldn't know. She looked over at where the plastic lay and saw the knife on the ground. She then looked back at Lorne to make sure his attention was still on digging the grave. He was not only digging still, he was also standing with his back to Amber. Very, very smart, Lorne, to, turn your back on, your potential victim. Amber took the chance to look around and found a piece of a thick branch about 2 inches thick and 3 feet long. Laying a few
what we don't know about Amber here, Cornville, is that earlier she told Lorne that her daughter was her niece. So she has this coming. She deserves to be murdered.
Well,
for everyone in the audience that didn't remember that part.
Well, absolutely. So, sorry, Amber, but there's just some lines you don't cross.
Exactly.
As Amanda James found out. Actually, welfare check on Amanda James. She it's been a while, but you never know. She slowly and quietly got to her feet and kept her eyes on Lorne as she moved continuously towards the knife and stick. Every step and every movement made Amber's heart rate pick up and race at an incredible rate. For a moment she was afraid Lorne might hear it and turn around at any second. About 2 more steps and she would have the knife and stick in her reach. All of a sudden, a branch snapped under
Yeah,
Amber's feet.
he's done that a couple of times.
Fucking hell.
All
Does
of a
he think
sudden,
that's what...
versus all of the sudden.
Does he think
He
that's
does.
what it is? That's the expression, all of a sudden. And, and Slash says, Amanda James. That's who we should have changed Amber's name to, is Amanda. Missed opportunity there. From now on, she's Amanda. Okay, all of a sudden, a branch snapped under Amanda's feet, and Lorne's head quickly snapped up in her direction. Amanda quickly reached for the knife and stick. Just as Lorne got close enough to her, Amanda was able to stand up and swing the stick hard enough to knock Lorne off his feet when the stick connected with his head. Lorne laid there dazed and confused. He put his hand to his head and felt the wetness in his hair from the blood of the gash in his skull. Amanda clutched the stick tight in her hand and swung a second time, connecting once again with Lorne's skull. The second blow knocked Lorne out cold. After checking Lorne's pulse to see if he was still alive, Amber took off running through the woods with the knife clutched tightly in her hands, looking for a way out of the woods. Why? Why did she not kill him? Like,
said he's murdered 2 other people.
Exactly. To kill him, or at least tie him up or something. You are lost in the middle of the wood. You've already said you've got no fucking idea where. So you're basically just going to be happy with him being knocked out. Like, I've got no idea where I am, but surely I've got a couple of minutes head start now that he's knocked out, so off I go. Fuck you, Amanda. You
get the keys to his car, even? Fuck, what a dumbass.
Nothing.
Deserves to die.
You literally just thought, I just want to buy myself 2 more minutes of life, you know? Just fucking hell. I hate everything about this.
Look at Smokey the Cat's comment.
His head was expelling dampness.
Excellent work.
Dave's confused, blah, blah. She's hit him. Knows he was still alive. Amanda took off running through the woods with the knife clutched tightly in her hands, looking for a way out of the woods. Not knowing where she was made it almost impossible for her to have any sense of direction. She had no idea where Lorne had parked the car and didn't know if there were any houses around. She stopped and leaned against the tree and started crying. So she doesn't know where he parked the car, but she also didn't grab the key, so it really is pretty fucking irrelevant where the car is. She stopped and leaned against a tree and started crying. She was frantic and needed to calm herself down, but she knew Lorne wouldn't stay knocked out for long. After taking a few deep breaths, she removed her weight from the tree and stood up straight again. She looked around her without looking behind her, knowing if she turned her body physically around, she may end up heading back toward Lorne. She decided to take her chances and just continue heading straight away from the direction she just came. It was hard to do, having to maneuver around the thick trees and brush, and to add to it, it was still dark out. That made it worse because if Lorne were to come after her in the direction she was going, she would never see him. She would probably hear him. I imagine he would be running towards her and that would make quite a lot of noise, but anyway. Amanda walked another 100 yards before she heard the voice calling her name. Amanda, I'm going to kill you, Lorne screamed. Amanda froze and could feel
scream. Be quiet, dumbass. God,
Exactly.
fuck. Every single decision every single character has made in this chapter has left me like, oh my god, it's all backwards.
They are all fucking idiots. Amanda froze and could feel her muscles tensing up again. Realizing her breasts were becoming strong again, she began frantically to look around as much as she could. She decided that she needed to go the opposite way of his voice. There's no way out of here, Amanda. It's all woods for miles and miles, Lorne yelled.
Except for his house.
Except for his house. Amanda's
He
heart
dragged
was.
the other one from. He dragged the second murder person from his house and buried them there. Remember, from a shed.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess he dragged them. He dragged the second body for miles. Was able to dig a grave, bury it, return home, shower, change his clothes, watch TV, fall asleep before his wife returned home from shopping for groceries. Okay, great.
Amanda's heart was spinning up and she listened to Lorne's threats. She found some hope when she saw a little set of headlights in the distance. At least now I know which way to a road, she whispered her thoughts. The road seemed so far away, though, from the distance of the lights. She had to go that way. It was the only hope that she had, so she began walking blindly toward the headlights, hearing Lorne's threatening screams along the way. About 15 minutes later, Lorne's screams had ceased, and hats, hats, that's when Amber began to grow frightened again. When she heard his threatening screams, she could at least target the location and the distance she was from him. Without his screaming, she had no way to know of his location. On the plus side, she could tell that daylight had started to form. That's what she needed, and also what she didn't need. At least without the daylight, she couldn't be found very fast by Lorne, but with the daylight, she could see where she was going to get there faster. Thanks, Amanda. Amanda continued on her path to finding the road that should lay not far from where she was now. Her heartbeats became more rapid when she heard a branch snap not far behind her. She frantically looked around for a place to hide until she knew what it was that made the branch snap. About 30 feet behind her left, she made out an uprooted tree in the pre-dawn light. She quickly walked toward the uprooted tree, being careful not to make much noise as she moved between the other trees and thick brush. Once she reached her destination, she crouched down behind the the roots, but he spelt it roots as in like,
Right.
Route 66.
Highway.
Fucking idiot. And waited to see what it was that was behind her. After 5 minutes of waiting, she relaxed as a raccoon. Sorry, it's raccoon, isn't it? A raccoon appeared.
Coon.
Raccoon. A raccoon appeared, keeping company with two others. Amanda let out a sigh and sat for a moment with her back resting up against the roots. Oh, he spelt roots correctly now. Great. She needed to take this chance to get her breath back. The constant hike through the woods had taken a lot out of her. When she felt better with having her breath back, she carefully peeked over the roots. Okay, he spelt it wrong again. What the fuck? How? Like, how is it even possible?
He likes to keep the reader on his toes.
He's
He's clever like that.
like, unless there are like, like route markings there, like I don't know, to
She's peeking over the highway to scout around.
scout around for any sign of Lorne. She saw nothing, so she stood up and moved from behind the uprooted tree. There was no way she could know that Lorne was waiting for her to move from behind the roots, spelt wrong again, before he sprung at her from behind a big pine tree. Amber turned as she heard the slight noise come from the direction of the pine tree. Frightened at the sight of Lorne leaping toward her, she automatically lifted the knife. Lorne went to the ground with a long gash on his ribs. Lorne struggled to get up, but fell back down on his back and appeared to be unconscious. Keep fucking stabbing him! Amanda took that time to get closer to Lorne to see if she had killed him. She focused her eyes on Lorne and slowly approached him. She couldn't tell if he was breathing, so cautiously she moved her hand toward his mouth. A move that she would regret. Well, honestly, and I don't feel right saying this, but Amanda deserves to fucking die. She's a fucking idiot.
This is the stupidest series of events she could have. Just run. Just
Like,
run in the opposite direction.
or
Stupid
kill
bitch.
him. Or make him
Yeah, now kill him.
incapacitated. Like, she is that dumb that fucking Kayla, if she ever found out about this, would be like, you're a fucking idiot, and I don't even know I have a garage. What a fucking loser. Anyway, you want to read for a while? I'm mad.
Yeah, absolutely. Lorne quickly and unexpectedly reached up and grabbed Amber and pulled her to the ground. Amber screamed, but to no avail. Before she could position herself to strike Lorne with the knife again, Lorne had her arm pinned under his leg and was on top of her with his hand gripped tightly around Amber's throat. Amber struggled with her free hand to try and pry loose of Lorne's grip, began to panic, and she could no longer inhale any of the fresh air that was all around her, and tried reaching Lorne's face to dig her fingernails into his flesh. The reach was too long, so she could only punch at him as hard as her weakened body would allow her. The lack of oxygen was too much for Amanda as her struggles became less and less, and she could no longer lift her arms. Last thing she saw before the world went dark was Lorne's evil eyes smiling down at her as he maintained the pressure on Amanda's throat even after he watched her chest fall from her last breath. When her arms fall, wouldn't that be the thing that would... Whatever. He finally let loose of his grip and felt some of the madness leave him. Amanda, he decided, was a good kill, an enemy to be respected, so now she's an enemy. He decided he would put 2 flags on Amber's grave. Good thing he brought them, coincidentally.
What a great coincidence, exactly. You know what I mean? Like,
it's really lucky. 1 flag at the head of the grave and another at the foot, signifying that she was a formidable enemy from start to end. Why does that signify that?
That's right. Is that the universal, signal for a good enemy? I don't understand.
I've never heard of it, but apparently, I don't know. I wasn't in Iraq and saw children explode, so who knows?
And
once Lorne regained his breath,
you go.
Once Lorne regained his breath and looked down at the bloodied shirt from the knife wound. Once Lorne regained his breath, he looked down at the bloodied shirt from the knife wound. Okay. After opening his shirt, he traced his finger along the wound, as if amazed at the sight of the blood. Lorne was hurt, but his determination to finish the task meant more to him than tending to his wound. He grabbed his knife from Amanda's stiffening fingers and placed it between his belt and pants, then gracefully threw Amanda's dead body over his shoulder and headed back to the gravesite. Arriving back at the gravesite, Lorne placed Amanda's body on the ground, then went back to digging her grave until it was the perfect size to fit her body in. Before wrapping Amanda's body in the black plastic, he bent over and gave Amanda a kiss on her cold lips. Lorne found that Amanda was a special person. What? Was a special person and wished he had known her in life.
It's just,
Go ahead.
It was just interesting. Kelpill said before that she thinks this is Lorne's murder fantasy for Amanda James, and I have to agree. Like, this is definitely a fantasy about someone that has greatly wronged him. So Amanda James or Paula, could be either. But given the name Amber, I'm going with Amanda James.
Because, yeah, she were a special person. He finished wrapping the plastic, placed Amanda in her grave, and said a silent prayer. I wonder what that prayer is.
But also,
that she would go to heaven.
I think you were going to say that before I interrupted you. How did he find that she was a special person? Like, what? Because she was fighting for her life? Like.
Yeah, I don't. He just finds any woman that speaks with him in real life as a special person. She's really special. Why is she special? Well, she's just so fucking special.
Awesome.
Remember when Will asked her?
Yeah. He's like,
remember when Will asked him why is Jamie special? He's like, he tried to avoid answering it at first.
Yeah. But he's like, well, she's special and she's awesome and I love the way we are together, which is hilarious. Seeing that is the most toxic relationship I think you could come across. But it's the way they are together. Same as Winnie. Winnie was the way they are together. Like, he's a nutcase.
And Slash says that I usually make the woman I date ice their lips down. Slash, let me say this, okay? If you've never made out after drinking ice water, try it, okay? Just have your wife down some ice water. You can get some ice water too. I don't know why, but maybe you like it, maybe you don't. I like it. It's pretty good stuff. Okay. I finished wrapping the plastic, placed Amber in her grave, and said a silent prayer that she would go to heaven before covering the corpse with the dirt. When Lorne was finished, he returned to the car and tended to the wound the best he could.
So he's been
I
stabbed
will
in the
hold
ribs,
until I
right?
get home.
Like, he's been
Yeah,
stabbed in
I
the
think
ribs,
so.
and he's just going to fix that up with duct tape and battery acid or some shit. Like, he won't need to go to the hospital. Like, that stuff will repair itself, you know.
Avoided literally every large vein and organ in his body. It was a billion to one shot, but he got lucky.
He's a lucky
That'll
beguy.
hold until. That's right. That will hold until I get home, he said to himself out loud. And that's the end of that chapter.
We did it. That was a big chapter, and that was a shit chapter. So,
I think there's only like 13 pages left.
wow, we're nearly there. We're nearly there, guys. And
Oh my god.
really, you wouldn't need more than 13 or so pages to wrap up a story from here. I mean, it's basically resolved, right? You know,
Yeah,
it'd just be
just
more
got started,
about,
but it's almost over.
yeah, it'd just be more about wrapping up, kind of, finding out where the characters went, maybe a little, few years down the track, that kind of thing, and then we're done, then we're out. Fucking hell. So, well done for getting through that, Eel, and well done to the chat. That was a whole lot. So everyone should feel pretty
Oh.
proud of themselves.
Yeah, you guys did a good job sticking with us, and I rewarded you with that sweet makeout tip at the end. So that's your prize for this raid.
That's it, guys. So write that one down. Maybe put on some steer music, get some ice water, and
Oh yeah.
And let the magic happen.
What time?
All right, guys. Look, going to wrap it up there. This has been a lot of fun as always. We will be back next week for chapter 11. Anything you want to say before we head out, mate?
Nope. Good to go.
Fantastic. Oh, good and new lifestyle guru. Firstly, hello. Great to see you as always. But she's just
Mystic Guru. You're too late. You're too late.
They've missed the fun and they've missed out on their makeout tips. But look, if you don't catch it on the replay, I'm sure Eel, will be able to write that down. Maybe chuck it into the COD server, Eel, just to let everyone know how that works.
Great idea. Great idea.
All right, guys. Thanks very much for being here. This was, despite that being such a terrible chapter, this was a lot of fun as always. We'll be back next week for the next chapter. I will be streaming tonight. Well, my tonight, which is most of yours early morning. So might see you there, might not. But in any case, have a good one, guys. Okay. Delete your archives.
Yes.